This is a regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court. It is Thursday, August 30th, 2012. It's approximately 8:32 a.m. As we do all meetings, we will start with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. flag and the Texas flag. I'd like to ask, let me ask the mayor of Rio Hondo that's here to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance when the time comes. Okay. As we reflect today, please keep in mind the folks that are suffering along the Gulf Coast due to Tropical Storm / Hurricane Isaac, please. Thank you. Mayor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible.
Thank you. Public comment? Just one? Mr. Fernando Ruiz.
Commissioner, Judge, my name is Fernando Ruiz. Ladies and gentlemen, I need to address an issue that's very important for the 34th Congressional District. We have two members that are remaining in the race that are not and do not live in the 34th Congressional District. Apparently, some of the people here are not familiar with the rules of government. They still, when I've been calling the Secretary of State and everybody, they say it's a Constitution. Well, there's a Constitution, but I have here a public law, which is the reference, 106 Congress Second Edition, House Document 106-216. It says here on page 9, the redistricting process has always been provided for by state law, but Congress can choose to exercise greater authority over redistricting. In 1967, for example, Congress by law prohibited at-large elections. At-large means that Mr. Vela, that lives in Corpus Christi, cannot come to Brownsville and say, because his mother lives here, can be the candidate for the 31st Congressional District. We are being disenfranchised by these people. And you, the leaders of this community, because you're going to be the seat of this congressional district, need to be aware of what's going on, because we need to stop this by whatever court order you need, because we're going to be completely disenfranchised. We need for you to pay attention to this. They don't belong here. Neither Jessica Bradshaw nor Mr. Vela. They're out of this 34th district. Number two, by example of this Isaac, I found out one thing. We don't need to build a $1 billion bridge. What we have to do is set rules and regulations to get these people out of there in time, and we're not going to have to be having a debt of $1 billion. We don't even have money to eat anymore. You continue to raise our taxes. We need to have a change. Mr. Hernandez needs to walk out.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Any rebuttal? Thank you. Consent items. Any member of the court wish? No more public comment? No more public? No, I asked any public comment. Any rebuttals? No? Pete, you're going to rebut?
No, sir, not today.
Okay. Consent. Any items need to be pulled out?
Triple V table. And triple Y, the dates are changing from the ones listed there to September 4th through September 6th.
Okay. Commissioners?
Double C, I have a question.
Double C.
Let's see. Triple K. That's it for me.
Okay, I'd like to pull out for discussion triple I and triple J. Okay, so having said that, do I hear a motion to approve consent?
Triple I?
Triple I, triple J. Just for clarification.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion on all the other items with the exception of those that we've pulled out to discuss?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Double B was tabled.
C.
Double C,
C.
consideration authorization to execute an amendment to the license agreement with South Padre Water Park.
Javier, could you tell me just a little bit about what we're doing there?
Yes, sir, Commissioner. This is an extension or an amendment to the existing agreement that we had. We gave them 60 days to temporarily use Jeremiah's for parking. And what we're doing is we're extending it for 90 days until they finish the hotel.
So it's just for the time that it's going to take to do the additional work?
Yes, sir.
Okay, move to approve, Judge.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Let me take triple I and triple J regarding travel for commissioners. It appears it's going to it's the same date, same town, but one is
I
a.
don't know where that came from. I think Pati probably wrote
So
down the right.
what is it? Is it
It's
the
the,
South Texas?
yes.
Okay, the second question, I wanted, remember with the policy that we passed last year regarding continuing education hours and how they apply. Is the court still want to do that once we get our 20 hours? And you have not gotten your 20 hours
I
yet?
don't think I have, Judge.
Okay.
That's for next year, though.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure, because if we're gonna enforce that policy on everybody else, then we need to also do that. Okay, do I hear motion for item I and triple I and triple J?
Second.
So it is the
Yeah,
South
it's
Texas.
not-
Okay, with that change?
Yeah.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any
Aye.
opposed, carries. On item 4, you pulled that one out, Commissioner?
Triple K.
I'm sorry, triple K?
Yeah, I pulled it out because, again, it's a travel item, and it's for exploring to do a probate court. I don't recall having been in any conversations here as a commissioner's court to do that. And I would hope that if we're going to go into, I think now the county courts at law do the probating.
Yeah.
And this is to explore, if I read correctly here, to attend the Texas College of Probate Judges 3-day annual meeting to gather information on the issue of whether creating a probate court in Cameron County would be economically beneficial. I think that before we start sending people out to explore these opportunities or these items, that Commissioners Court should have an opportunity to put it on the agenda if we're going to discuss it, talk about it, see if that's something we wish to explore or not, and then make a decision on whether sending someone to a college of judges. I looked through the whole 3-day agenda for the meeting, and it's mostly like things that relate to probating stuff. I mean, if it's something we need to do,
Well, I saw that item as well, and on Triple M shows Judge McDonald going to that very same seminar. We could ask him to bring back information.
I mean, Judge
if he
McDonald
needs
has
to.
been really good about advocating, whether it be indigent, whether it be process, whether it be any of those
Right.
things.
Well, I saw that as well, and it's for judges and clerks, and doesn't apply here. It doesn't count towards continuing education for the member of the court either. So what's your motion, to deny?
My motion would be to deny, and if it wants to be put back on the agenda for all of us to discuss that particular item,
Okay.
we can do
Moved
it.
by Commissioner Gatsa to deny at this time. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Triple A. Okay, action items, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules.
Judge, Commissioners, the budget amendments were placed in front of you. The first one is line item transfer for Public Works. You have one for elections and one for the Civil Division. The ones that follow are all budget amendments for the Juvenile Department and for the VOCA grant, some of the grants for the DA's office for your approval. You also have the salary schedules for the grants that begin in September 1st as well.
And all of the juvenile department are pro se approvals.
My understanding is yes.
Right,
Bruce?
Bruce?
Yes. So it's listed.
All the juvenile approvals are just pro se approvals?
Pro forma.
Or pro forma approvals, or whatever you call that?
Juvenile probation is
Yeah.
pro forma, yes.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Claims.
I have claims number 286-121 through 286-632. I also have payroll for $407.92. Payroll dated August 31st for $1,766,028.80. Caremark medical claims for $309,755.75. I'd like to pull out claim number 286-227, pending approval and pending final review. So I'd like to withhold approval on that warrant right now.
Okay. Anything else?
That's all.
Do I hear a motion to approve with that exception that the auditor has suggested?
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Minutes, you all ready?
No.
Do I hear a motion to table the minutes?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, consideration and approval of the newly ratified logo of the Cameron County Historical Commission. You want to have,
That's the one before us here?
yeah.
Yeah, Judge, actually, that's a presentation item as well, so I don't know if you want to go to the presentation.
Then why don't we hold off until the presentation? Item E, consideration and authorization to hold a public hearing regarding the replatting of Puerta del Cielo subdivision. Section 1 is recorded in Cabinet 1, page 2000A and 2000B of the map records. Do I hear a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Carries. Public hearing.
Judge,
Good morning.
Commissioners, good morning. This is a request from the developer to change the land use for Puerta del Cielo subdivision, Lot 1, Block 1, from residential to non-residential, basically commercial. That's the hearing for this morning.
Do you have a recommendation at this point?
Yes, sir, recommend that we approve this at the next agenda item.
Okay.
approve the
Is there
order.
anybody here from the public that wishes to speak on this topic?
All the proper notifications were done and.
Yes, sir. The request is
Neighboring.
there in writing, and
Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Item F, consideration and authorization to adopt an order regarding the replat of Puerta del Cielo subdivision. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item G, consideration approval of terms of court for Cameron County Statutory County Courts. What is that? And who's that? And just please introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yehitza Nunez here on behalf of the DA's office. In 2011, there were some changes to the government code, specifically section 25.0016, stating that the Commissioner's Court by order shall set at least 2 terms a year statutory county court.
Okay. Pretty boilerplate?
I'm sorry?
Pretty boilerplate?
Boilerplate. The only reason there's a difference this year because it's so late in the year that we're setting the terms of court. We started in September and continuing through December. In 2013, they would start from January through June and July through December.
And the courts are which ones?
County Court 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second?
So, second,
By Commissioner Gatsa. Discussion?
even though I didn't understand anything.
Well, if she's presenting, I'm sure it's
You know,
right.
what are we doing?
There's terms of court for each of the county courts, setting deadlines for the prosecutor's office on which to file a case, also setting deadlines for the courts on which they have to report the number of cases that have been filed, number of cases that were disposed, and which cases are still pending. In 2011, the change was that the Commissioner's Court would set 2 statutory terms of court. Previously, there had been 6.
Okay.
Okay. All in favor, signify
So
by
this will
saying.
help bring us into compliance with all of the reporting to the state and things like
Yes,
that?
sir.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Thank you very much. Item H, consideration and approval of the Democrat-Republican Party's recommendations for appointment of the presiding judge and alternate judge for each county election precinct. Is Roger here? Is there anything that we need to, I guess he's recommending. Roger? Where?
Right there.
Well,
Roger, Anything we need to do with item H, your item on the assignment or the approval of the DNR clerks? Do you need anything from us other than just approval? Okay, right. Okay. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second, Roger, have you had any discussions with another location in Harlingen? We've had some number of complaints that have been brought to our
Yes.
attention. So you're working on it?
Yes, Commissioner, what we've done, I've been in touch with Commissioner, Purpashaw, and he agrees that if we move the location from Gutierrez, which is on Wilson, to City Hall, which the population of the city of Harlingen is used to, that would be fine. Now, I've got no problems with doing that, and that would be fine with the city of Harlingen, according to him.
And that's for early vote only.
That's for early voting.
Right, so still keeping to one location in the city of Harlingen?
Yes, that's correct.
You know, because you have a lot of folks in the the northwestern part of the county, northwestern part, pretty much, you know, all of that area. The concern that was brought to my attention was the numbers of voters out there and the one location that is very inconvenient, and the one location, you know, when we have like Brownsville, we have like 4 or 5 locations during early voting.
Well, we normally have one location in the Harlingen area, where we have one
We
in
normally
Harlingen, San
have had less
Benito, La
locations
Feria.
in Brownsville,
And we've had,
but
yes.
we've increased them, okay? So we need to look and just making sure we provide access to folks that need to get to the voting posts.
Okay. I'm willing to consider whatever the commissioners wish. I'll do whatever y'all need me to do, and I will contact the parties in regards to that, because they're supposed to send,
I'll visit with you afterwards.
submit the names of the people that need to work there.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
But we still have a little time to get
To
that
do
done.
it, okay.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I have a motion by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item I, holiday schedule.
Judge, Commissioners, you have the schedule for 2012, 2013.
It did not change from the prior year?
Hasn't changed. Just something to note real quick. The Cesar Chavez Day falls on Easter Sunday, and that Monday, we're identifying that as a day observed holiday, so.
But the number of days did not change?
No, number of days,
Okay.
holidays hasn't changed.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries.
The only thing I would say, Judge, is that I think it should be noted that the county is extremely generous in relation to pretty much all other public governmental entities in regards to the holiday schedule. I know of not one other governmental entity that observes the number of holidays that we do. So it's a benefit to our employees that sometimes, I don't know if they realize is a benefit, but it is a benefit because most other entities do like 10 holidays a year. Some of them do 7 holidays a year, and we're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 holidays a year. Each holiday, our county auditor has figured out costs the county about $350,000 to have, right, in operations. So, you know, it's a great benefit for the employees, and even though sometimes we don't provide as much of a raise as we want to, keeping the holiday schedule at the level that we have it is a benefit that they have, you know, so.
Thank you, sir. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries. Item J, discussion and possible action to award bid number 1340-2 to the second bidder for location 2 at Isla Blanca Park.
Yes, Judge, Commissioners. We received 2 bids on this concession location, and one of them is Beach Snacks, and the other one is Beach Services. In the background, or backup, there was a letter I sent to Mike with my concerns about awarding it to the first bidder, the highest bidder, which is Beach Services. And just historically, you know, the issues we've had with collecting the rent and him opening during the year. Those are our concerns, and that's the reason that we want to, we would like to award it to the second bidder, which is Beach Snacks.
Does legal have any issues with this?
You have to be able to give an opportunity for the lowest.
Or the best bid, the better bid.
The lower bid, to be able to come and speak, and if he has any evidence to the contrary, he's got to have an opportunity to be heard.
So now's the time to do it?
You can do it now.
Okay, is the,
Okay, Javier, can you tell us exactly why, you're recommending the second lowest bidder, and just kind of itemize what you're telling us?
Well, the issues, the concerns that we have is just the, historically, how we had to collect or make amendments to the existing concessions to be able to collect on its current concessions.
This is not a current concession.
Not for him, not
Okay.
for him, but he has 4 or 5 other concessions with us.
Okay. So collections is your issue?
Collections is the issue. The other issue we have is that him opening the concession, his current concessions, where he runs 2 snack bars, and it's not open during the year when it should be.
Are those times part of the contract that we
Yes,
have?
yes, sir. And the contract states that he shall open for patrons during regular park hours, 8:30 to 5, and it gives the peak season, September through February, and then 8:30 to 7 during, off-peak season, then 8:30 to 7 p.m. during peak season, which is March through August. And it says the concessionaire may adjust the hours, but with our approval.
And you haven't approved anything?
No.
So you're telling us that the stand has not been open from 8:30 to 7 during peak season, or 8:30 to 5 during off-season?
That's correct. Not every day.
Have you visited with the concessionaire and tried to?
Yes, we have. We've brought this to his attention. The staff there at Isla Blanca and the park manager at Anibui. And I've spoke to him as well. The reasonings why he hasn't opened, and the reason is he has, of course, is staffing. People call in sick, or he lets people go. So it's a matter of
Well, but that's not our concern,
Right.
though. I mean, your concern is that it needs to be open to
Yes,
the
sir.
public.
because the goal is, of course, to provide a service to the public. And
So based on your recommendation, I move that we approve the second bidder.
Commissioner, the court still needs to allow,
We need to
if
listen.
the
Oh,
vendor
I'm
is here,
sorry.
to be
I'm
able to
sorry.
speak up. If
Is he here?
feels.
yeah, Charlie, you got anything?
Anybody want to speak to this topic?
Charlie's here if he wants to speak.
Hello, I'm Charlie with the Beach Service. Over the past 5 years, having the snack bars and the umbrella and chair concessions on the beach, I've learned an awful lot. The 2 snack bars are based on the volume of people that come to the beach every given day. This year, I have not opened them every day. I only open up on the days in which we had the high volumes of people, mostly because of the lack of sales we had in June with the umbrellas and chairs due to high tides and the extra strong winds, and I had the concession fees to make up and get completed, which I was able to do by the 1st of August. So I cut my losses down on those 2 snack bars. It's based purely on the volume of people. When I first opened them up 5 years ago, we had all the big venues, everything thinking, and to this day, the dollar volume is exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. And what I've learned is people like snow cones, hot dogs, ice, and then after 4 o'clock, they need to buy toilet paper. And pretty much that's how we've been able to keep those snack bars going. The concession fees on the snack bars, I've been able to keep up through the rentals of the umbrellas and chairs. And I thought bidding on the next snack bar with the experience that I've gotten, the equipment and investments I put into it, I'd have a snack bar that would help you know, recoup my investments I've made in the other snack bars. However, I have made a recommendation to the county based on what I've been looking at. I don't want the county to lose any concession fees. I don't want them to lose any cash flow, and I do not want to have people visiting the parks and not having the best time of their life while they're there. I recommended that the two other snack bars be embedded into the big snack bar. That way, in the times of the high volumes, that snack bar then could open them up and take care of the people and things of that nature. Yes, did I have some trouble with some workers this summer? Yes, I did, and had to dismiss them. But outside of that, I did it to make sure that all my concession fees would get repeated and paid off, and by the 1st of August, I was able to have that all done. Thank you.
Was there any, just a question, was there any inaccuracy to what Mr. Mendez spoke to?
I really didn't get the hearing too well back here, but
Can you speak up just a little bit,
sure,
please?
I'm sorry. You know, like I'm saying, I try to control the losses we have on the snack bars. I followed through with my commitment for the 5-year contracts that we had. My accountant, as you understand, the accountant's judge, recommended that I dismiss those commissions. I've told my accountant that I made a commitment for the 5 years, and I followed through with the cash flow, and that has been done. Did I have trouble with some people this year? Yes, but it boils down to just the dollar volumes of the days. And by not opening them up during the slow time periods, I was able to save enough money to pay my concession fees.
But, you know, in the contract, according to
understand.
Javier, he had certain hours of operation.
I understand that.
We wanted a presence at the stands for.
And see, to me, that was very important. Prior to this year, that's what I did last year and all the 4 other years. I kept them open every day, regardless of the losses that we had, because the umbrellas and chairs compensated it. Whereas this year, June, we really had a bad season, almost as bad as Hurricane Dolly. But after July, when the weather got better, our sales went up and was able to compensate everything.
Okay.
But that's why I made the recommendation to embed them together. That way, the county would still get good concession fees.
Well, let me ask Javier real quick on that recommendation that was provided to you. Well, I think that's a separate issue, though. I think that goes beyond the scope of the actual,
I understand that, too.
RFP. So it's kind of hard to go back and change swimming lanes in the middle of the deal. My question was, Javier made some, discussed some issues as to why he was going to the next bidder. And my question to you was there anything that he said that was inaccurate? Because that's what his recommendation is being based on. Now, whether you're not making money, losing money, that's a business decision that you're going to have to make and live with. And you've been a pretty good concessionaire, but everybody falls on some bad times. Maybe it's time to regroup and maybe downsize a little bit instead of trying to get bigger. Maybe downsize on something.
My concern would be that if you run into these times again, like the other concession stand at the DJ Lerma Pavilion, if you started to close, every time I go by there, I mean, there's a lot of people, and they're always buying and whatnot. And the Sandpiper, I've passed by, and your snack bar is closed, and there's no difference in the amount of people near the DJ Lerma Pavilion as there is in your area. So
there is a difference in the volume of people, and I can prove that by the number of umbrellas that we rent. For every one umbrella we rent at Sandpiper, you rent 4 umbrellas at the Lerma, and that means the number of people who come by is extremely different. For every $100 we make at the Sandpiper umbrella concession, we make about $10 at the snack bar, and the relationship is exactly the same, and that's why, we can do that. That's why I'm stating what I'm stating.
Mm-hmm.
The math behind it is pretty accurate.
Those are just business decisions that
Right.
have to be made. If it's not profitable for you, maybe that contract is something you
But
should...
also, if you look back in the past, a number of other concessions have been in and out of there and things like that. Very similar things based on the volume of people. I follow through with my things. However, the Lerma Pavilion has a lot more people going through there every day, and it does give the cash flow. Basically, Lerma has paid, the Lerma and Umbrella concessions for me have paid the other bills in the other part of the county parks. So, anyways, for what it's worth. That's
Thank-
why I did what I did.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Sure.
Your motion still stands?
Yes.
Okay,
Second.
moved by Commissioner Benavides,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, carries. Item K, consideration, selection of one or more projects pursuant to the 2013-2014 Texas Community Development Block Grant Program. Mr. B.
Judge and Commissioners,
We'd like to welcome some of the folks in the audience to the meeting today that have an interest in this.
They didn't bring their banners this time.
No banners, no nothing.
No signs.
for this application cycle, we can apply for $219,403.
Speak up just a little bit, Frank. I
That's
think we're
about all I
having
can do.
problems with...
Get closer
with
to
the
the mic.
microphone.
No, I don't want to do that. We can apply for $219,403 in the Texas Community Development Fund. The monies must be used to benefit low and moderate income persons. The funds have to be used in the rural area neighborhoods, and the funds have to be used for infrastructure. This fund has a dual scoring system. First, it's scored at a regional level, which has some flexibility. It's also scored at a state level, and at the state level, the state priority is given to first-time water and sewer projects. This year, through our public hearing process, we received 4 project requests. Those are shown in your packet on page 5. The 2 projects that meet the highest state priority are the La Feria first-time sewer project and the El Jardín water line upgrades. Based on what the county has done in the past, which is also to prioritize first-time water and sewer projects, we are recommending selection of the La Feria project for first-time sanitary sewer in the Bixby and Alto Real colonias. Some of the applicants that requested funding are here in the audience if you have any questions from them or they would like to make a presentation. Does the court have any questions?
No, we got your recommendations.
Anybody want to address the commission before we...
I mean, start with the first one, San Juanita de los Santos. Are they here?
Well, no, I don't know. I don't see anybody here from there. Mr. Armstrong?
Good morning, Commissioners. I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I want to commend the county's department, management and department here on what they've done. We stand to make improvements to residents that 374 residents in the Las Palmas mobile home subdivision. It's not a designated colonia at this point, but it will soon be. However, I do support the Frank's recommendation here on the first-time sewer as opposed to our project, and I look forward to presenting this at a future time.
Thank you, Gail.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
I think.
Jim?
Judge Koskos, Commissioners, good morning. My name is Brian McManus. I'm representing East Toronto Water Supply
Oh,
Corporation.
Brian, I called you Jim McMahon after the football player.
Would be nice.
I'm not in that business. Anyway, Commissioner, Judge, you remember as we had the meetings in Arroyo City about fire flow, and our board has taken quite a different position on it. You know, the big fire we had in Las Yescas last year, one of the big problems they had with that fire was a 9-alarm fire. There were 9 fire departments there responding to that fire, and it took them half the day to put it out. The problem they had to drive all the way back to Rio Hondo to get tanker trucks to fill up with water to come back and put it on the fire. And we had no fire hydrants in the area of any sort. And our board that kind of got our board's attention. We have a lift station right next door. That almost burned down itself. And they see the significance of being able to have at least a tanker refill station throughout the rural areas so that trucks for either rural fires or even a significant fire like the Las Yescas fire can have a source of water to utilize for the trucks to refill so that we can have a closer source and it doesn't take so long to drive back and forth to the smaller towns to get their fire source water. But wanted to let you know our board has taken a little bit different stance on it than they have in the past. And it's 15 miles of area that we could put in hydrants in for the rural area. So it is a significant project for the rural community.
Brian, we have fire hydrant issues throughout the county. I mean, we've been exchanging emails with some folks that just north of Brownsville, and it is a problem, and it's something that we need to address, and I don't know about doing it with this one. I mean, the match that you're coming up with is really, really small. I mean, it's like less than 10%, or about 10% of the project. But again, the way Frank has it labeled here, it's a second-tier project, so the first-tier project would, in my eyes, be more of a priority. Even though, I tell you what, we have had some issues in the rural areas regarding fire hydrants, and I think it's unfortunate that people that move into a rural community see a fire hydrant and they automatically make an assumption that it's safe, it's workable, and 9 times out of 10 they're probably not functioning properly, like as you well know in your neighborhood. I wish we could find funds that address this, just like we're finding funds to address lighting in the rural areas. We need to really look at the fire hydrants. But then again, when these were put out there generations ago, there was nobody out there. The water lines are very, very narrow, and we'd have to replace probably a majority of the water lines to get enough pressure.
Where we're looking at putting these hydrants specifically are on our main transmission lines where we can probably even deliver fire flow.
Right.
And there are no hydrants there at all in these areas. So Arroyo City has hydrants. That's where we had our prior discussion.
Right.
But the areas where we have in this proposed project, and I understand the funding issue, but where we're proposing these, there are no hydrants whatsoever at all.
Yeah. Okay.
It's something we need, even if we don't handle it here, it's something we need to address.
We need to, I know that Mr. Sotelo's here from also the Laguna Madre area, and we have similar issues over there with fire hydrants that in some cases are there but inoperable, just as the judge says. And we've got to figure out a way how we can kind of come together. I'm glad you're at the table. I'm glad you've come in to talk to us about it, because in the past, you just said, we're not going to do it.
Yeah, we're not going to do it.
You know, so at least now you're proposing we pay 90% of the cost, which is.
We're willing to maintain them and have them functioning.
Which is, you know,
it's a lot more than you see
great
from a lot
step.
of communities.
Yeah, so I think it's a challenge for us to see where we can find some funds to address this issue, because it's really critical for our folks in the rural areas.
Anything y'all could do, we'd appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. You know, and it's like we do with other grant funds. I mean, the need is always, 20 times greater than the available funds that we have. But
just so that the court is reminded, sometimes we apply for the Bologna Construction Fund, and sometimes we do water line upgrades, like we're working with the Laguna Madre Water District. And in today's agenda, you had a bid award for a water line upgrade project there. We also included fire hydrants there. So there's a time and a place where we can do it.
Right.
But standalone fire hydrants,
It's hard.
It's not as doable as when you combine it with water line upgrades or new water lines.
right.
Well,
Okay.
at least we're talking.
Right.
So, which is great.
Thank you, Frank. Do I hear a motion to
Accept the recommendation.
accept the recommendation, Mr. Bejarano?
So
Moved by
Second.
Commissioner Gatsa, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Budget, anything? Anything new?
Not as far as the Well, I have the backup, but it's the same as the
Is
last meeting.
there's no
Nothing has changed.
changes from the last meeting?
No. There is a request from the district clerk's office. They wanted to make a presentation that
As long as
could
it's not
affect the
over
general fund.
$187, we can.
Yeah. Well, I think in the correspondence that I read, it was a budget neutral issue. Is that correct?
The one that they sent out yesterday,
Yes.
it is this year. It would be for this year. And they're here and they can explain it. Currently, I'm not sure if all the members of the court were able to read it since it was sent out late yesterday afternoon. What they're requesting, currently they have the child support fund where the fees are collected there and there's some operational cost within that fund. They're requesting for those fees to be deposited within the general fund and those operations just become part of their regular district clerk budget. There's some positions there, and there's some supplements that are being currently paid out of there, and there's some small operational costs. The fees that are being generated for that particular operation are not sufficient right now to cover the total operational cost. What they have is fund balance right now, and so that would absorb the shortage.
Well, but
for
the
this
fund
next
balance
year.
was 118,000, if I remember
Correct.
the number right.
So there would be an impact in future years. To
Well, let
the
me ask you a
general
question.
fund,
How
but-
much of the fund balance in this coming budget would they have to draw from? They've got $118,000. How much are they going to need?
Just under $58,000.
Okay, so they roughly have a little bit less than two budget cycles, assuming the
Correct.
fund balance is not touched.
Correct.
So then so then for the future, and we're looking at this maybe not the next fiscal year, but the one after that.
Correct.
Having to draw on general fund to fund it, correct?
Yes.
Now, is there any restrictions to utilizing is there an amount that they need to have in fund balance? Like, we want to have X amount of days. Is there anything?
No.
Okay. I mean, I don't have a problem with doing that because we've got enough money to do it for the next 2 years. Did I read something in there that she was projecting higher revenues as well?
They're here to address it as well. And the fees that have been, the revenue that has been generated by this particular operation has been coming into general fund this fiscal year, okay? The revenue projections for fiscal year 2012 for the district clerk's office have already been met and exceeded.
The fiscal year that we're in now, right?
The fiscal year that we're in right now.
But as you're projecting out the 2012, 2013, you've already factored those numbers in.
Those numbers have already been factored in.
Okay, so
yes.
so there's not as if when I started to read it, it sounded like, well, I read it to sound like we're going to have some kind of a windfall. But you've already included that in the budget, so there is no
Yes.
windfall.
Right, I've already incorporated that in the budget, okay?
Okay.
On a conservative basis as well.
Okay. Ms. De La Garza?
Thank you. Good morning. Because of Odyssey, we have now implemented a new collections department in the child support division. And as you see in my letter, we've already collected $256,000 that is going into the general fund. And I have been talking to our auditor and asking her when we first started that we would like for this to go back into the child support fund, but it's because of Odyssey is going into the general budget. So we are implementing, we've already sent out like over 3,000 letters, and hopefully we'll come up with over $900,000 that we're hoping to be able to collect in child support.
Let me ask you, of that $900 and some odd $1,000 that you're hoping to collect, how much of that has been budgeted already in the 2012, 2013 budget?
It has not been budgeted.
Okay.
So those are fees that we feel will be coming in. And I had projected that we would collect $10,000 a month, but we were so enthusiastic about the program that we have now, we ended up raising $25,000 a month. And I see that as higher for this
So let me
coming
ask you
year.
a question then. Of the $900,000 that you're projecting, what I'm hearing from accounting is that none of that is being budgeted right now in the 2012, 2013 budget? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it hasn't.
Is that what I'm hearing?
That's extra
Auditor?
money. That's extra money that will be coming
Okay.
in, yes.
Let me ask you, if that is there a reason why you cannot book a portion of that revenue that, I mean, something's going to come in, right? Is there a
Yes.
reason, I mean, whether it's 900,000 or 200,000, is there a reason why you've been unable to book that as additional revenue to the county? That's for the auditor.
What has been done was, it was a calculation based on what the revenues were running to date for this fiscal year. So it was not including this because this is a process that they actually started in earnest this fiscal year, and we have seen the growth in the numbers as it's been coming in this year. I can tell you that for this year, they have already exceeded their budget, and the budget adopted for the court was that they were going to bring in 1.1 million, and they should meet 1.4 million
How
this
much did
year.
you book in general fund for this?
I'd have to look at it. I know that it
Well,
was,
because-
it was their actual budget at
Right. So
probably
that-
at
well,
about
that-
90-95%.
Well, that's my question. My
completion.
question was, how much of this 900,000 that she's saying is going to be collected have you booked? And you said none.
This whole 900,000 that has been billed is not anticipated to be collected in fiscal year 13. In discussions with, that we had yesterday, it's probably going to be anywhere between 20 to 25%, and that.
25
to 25% of the.
Of the 900,000?
Yes, so
Okay.
that's.
How much, did you book the 20 or 25% already?
No, I have not booked it. Of that, there was only about 130,000 that was booked. Okay, so I have not booked this.
And the reason
this
for that
discussion that we had.
is?
We had yesterday only afternoon. So,
Okay.
no, it's not booked
Do you
yet.
anticipate booking any additional revenue out of what she's projecting?
I have, we looked at it yesterday late, and we anticipated this particular program bringing in approximately an additional 100,000.
Okay.
You know,
So-
so there is room for growth in that particular.
Okay, so that 100,000 that you just talked about,
Right.
has that been booked?
No, it
Okay.
has not.
Do you anticipate booking it?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's
That
not on
means
the
that we've
books.
got $100,187 left. I mean, I'm not, you know, and I'm not suggesting that we spend it, because I don't think just because we're going to anticipate getting it, when you go off and spend it, we need to really
Well, we need to
use
get
that
it
money.
first.
Yeah, but whatever she books, though, I mean, that's not included in the $187. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I would prefer to leave that money alone, and we need to rebuild our fund balance because it is dangerously low. We're nowhere near what it should be. And I would go ahead and book it, or even not book it, and hope it comes in. And you're saying that it will come in, and let that go into the fund balance. Because I'm afraid that if we book 100,000, some members of the court may say, hey, man, we got 100,000, let's go out and spend it or do something with it. And you know, we're not looking at our fund balance on a long-term basis, and we have to look at that number. We just can't let it go on and on and on the way it is.
Give us an opportunity to show.
Oh,
you
we
that-
will. I mean,
that-
we will. So that's
that
why
we're doing
I don't have
our
a
best to
problem with,
collect.
I don't have a problem with your request. I think that using the fund balance, in your not general fund, but in the child support fund balance of 118,000, you need to use, you said 58,000? I have no problem with that at this point. And Martha, I'd just be really, really conservative with that money that she anticipates collecting. But I don't want to put it on because we'll spend it. I don't want to do that. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else on the budget?
I just have one question on the budget. You know, yesterday I called Mr. Hodges, because I had a question
Who's
brought
Mr.?
to, Bruce Hodges?
Oh, Hodge.
Hodge.
There's only one, thank God.
Hodges. Yeah. But
Singular, not plural.
There was a question brought to my attention about, you know, the process that we utilized, I think it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, when 2 races were given each to the county clerk and the district clerk, and how one commissioner gave up part of his salary to give those races. The item was brought to my attention by some of the legal community, and the legal community was telling me, you know, you need to look at, first of all, whether it's legal for a county commissioner to give up part of their salary to another elected official or not. And the other one was a question that is outside of what we do, because it was an ethical issue about, having to deal with those offices all the time, and how, if someone gave a donation to that office, they'd get preferential treatment, and I said, look, I don't want to go there, but I can ask about the legality of whether a county commissioner can give up their salary to increase someone else's salary, and that would be legal or not. And I think it's a question that needs to be answered publicly, because if questions came up from about 4 people to me, I'm sure others will come to some of the other commissioners or the judge.
I've been looking into that, and I was not at that meeting, but after that meeting and after I heard about it, I asked Dilbia here what she knew about that. And there is a statute.
And I want to add one more thing.
Yes, sir.
I supported it because it was a budget neutral thing. But if there is a legal issue of why we should do it, I think we all need to know, because I think all of us supported it because it was budget neutral.
I didn't support it.
Oh, you didn't support it?
I didn't support it.
Well, you didn't support it. Well, the majority of the court supported it. And I want to make sure that whatever I did support was something that could be substantiated by statutory law that would protect me. Otherwise, I think we need to discuss it and see what needs to be done. I'm sorry to interrupt, Bruce.
I was just going to say, Dilbia had, found a statute that permits county officials to donate a portion of their salary, to the county. And I think your question has more to do with may that gift or donation be conditioned on it going a certain place. I have not researched that yet.
The funding of the increased salaries is what the portion that was given up went to, okay? I mean, it wasn't a donation to the county. It was a donation to increase 2 salaries for 2 individuals. Am I not correct, Delbia? Can't hear you.
But what the commissioner did was reduce his salary, which he can do by statute.
Right.
And that that money goes back to the general fund.
Okay.
To be used as the court decides.
Okay.
Well,
But that's not what he said.
Yeah, I'd like to chime in a little bit, because what happened was the commissioner's court set the commissioner's salary at a lower rate. So he wasn't giving anything up. His salary was set at a lower rate, and the difference between what he would have gotten and what he got was part of I took it from the general fund portion of his salary. That was used in order to offset the increase of the other elected officials' salaries that was increased. So in essence, he didn't give anything up. His salary was set at a lower rate. If his salary had been set the same as everyone else, and then he said, okay, pay me less, so in order to cover this, then he would be giving up. But you set his salary at a lower rate, so in essence, he didn't give up anything, which the court can do it.
We set the salary
Correct.
at the rate that was requested to
Correct.
fund 2 increases in 2 other people's
Right.
salaries, okay?
Right.
Okay, I mean, I don't care how you skin the cat,
Well, it's, yeah.
I mean, it's the same cat
yeah.
being skinned here. And it's my commissioner to the left, because he gave up a portion of his and if you want to give up all your salary and fund someone, I have absolutely no problem with it. And I have no problem with I supported it, okay?
Right.
What I want to make sure and do is whether or not that is legal to do, because he didn't lower his salary to donate to the county. He
Correct.
lowered his salary to increase 2 other people's salaries. Because, quote, I take it out of mine, is what Dan said, okay? Just take it out of mine and we'll do this. And that's what we did.
Yes, but in the notice, the way it was prepared prior to that, the other 2 elected officials were already at that rate. So just the mere fact that it was, it was already under consideration prior to that. Ultimately, it's a legal issue, but I'm not an attorney, but based within the statutes and having to deal with this, I don't think there's an issue there.
Well,
but,
the way,
yeah.
it's not a budgetary issue for you.
Correct.
I don't know if it's a legal issue for us. And I just want to make sure that whatever action I took was legal. I'm not saying I don't support what occurred. I'm not saying that, I mean, if it was budget neutral, it didn't matter to me that those individuals got their raises. I have absolutely no problem with that. I just want to make sure that we are not implicated legally in anything because of the action we took, And Javier says he's cleared budgetarily, which is fine. I'm saying.
Let me just say this, Commissioner, without a waiver of the privilege that this body is entitled to as a whole to hear from me on this subject confidentially, I can tell you that there is a statute that permits, this donation. I can tell you that so far, the Commissioners Court has made the decision that Javier just discussed, and there was a motion and an approval to offset the salaries with this money that was found. Now, the technical niceties of whether this is technically a gift or a donation, I have not researched. It's probably something we should discuss in executive session to be purely, to preserve the confidential privilege. So unless, and frankly, today I'm not prepared to talk about the technical niceties of it. But as Mr. Villarreal has spoken so far, there has been action so far that's been taken to approve this. The question now is, was that action technically legal or illegal? And all I can tell you is what I know about what the existing law is. I have not formed an opinion on it, which is something that we should discuss confidentially.
Okay, and I don't have a problem with that. I just wanted to make sure that in this case, the judge and Commissioner Benavides would be aware of me asking you a question, because I just want to make sure that whatever we did is above board and legal, and that's it.
I'll be happy to look into that for you and be prepared to discuss it next executive session, next regular meeting.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just briefly on the parks system, there's a request to add some additional positions. They'll have sufficient funding.
This is not general fund.
No, it's not general fund.
Just so the audience knows, this is
Correct.
park system.
But we just need to clarify something with administration, and we'll have that
Okay, we'll keep working on it.
for next week.
Anything else?
Also, in the proposed budget that we filed, we did not include a vehicle that the tax office was requesting for the inspections, the vehicle inspections that they do. So that is not incorporated in the budget.
Would that be part of the equipment list, though?
It could be, however, generally, this is in general fund, and it is, they do generate funds from it. So he's requesting that particular increase to the vehicle inspection department to purchase a vehicle for $32,000. That is not in the $187 that we have available right now.
I'd say we put in equipment list.
So, and the court will also keep in mind that the equipment list has pretty much been used for the Motorola radios as well. So,
Well, would it be a budget neutral item?
at this point, it would not be. Now,
Then where?
does that department bring in the revenue on the vehicle inspections? Yes, they do, but
What are they using now?
I can have the tax assessor address it next week. He's not here right now, or neither.
Well, let's go ahead and do that, because if it's budget neutral, if somehow you're going to certify additional revenues in that department to cover that vehicle, then I don't see an issue with it. If we're going to have to draw somewhere else, then no.
No, the revenue that would cover this has already been certified, and
Exactly.
it's included in the 187.
Exactly.
So he had requested it, we did not pick it up, and he is requesting it, so he can address it at the next meeting.
We didn't pick it up?
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? And I wouldn't suggest that you do that just yet until he gives us a funding source for that $32,000. Anything else, Javier? Okay.
What exists today.
Yeah. All right. Do I hear motion to acknowledge?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatz. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Item 4A, presentation by the Historical Commission.
Judge, if we may, could we open up claims real quick, please? Again.
Okay. Hold on, William. Can we go back to claims? Go ahead.
I'd like to, we've been advised that there is a pending bill at the U.S. Postmaster for $190 that has not been paid. We did not get the billing. We don't know where the invoice is right now. They sent it out a month ago, but it's to renew the permit for the mailing of the juror summons cards. So if we receive, we should get the invoice this morning, so I'd like to read that in as a manual for Commissioners Court approval.
Okay, any problems with that?
With proper documentation.
Do I hear a
Yes,
motion
with the
by
documents.
Commissioner Benavides, seconded by Commissioner Gatsa?
Thank you.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries. Now, presentation. Poor Williams, third time he's gotten up.
I got my workout today, that's for sure.
Take care, Brian.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you for having me today. The Historical Commission had their monthly meeting on on July 12th of this year, and it was a motion was adopted and approved for a symbol to be adopted for the Historical Commission, one that can be recognized both within and without of the county. That being said, a logo was created and coinciding with the current logos that are used within Cameron County, within the state as well, and selection went from there. Why the commission is asking for an official adoption of the logo is very simple, for identification, and it does show the importance of the Historical Commission for the role of Cameron County as well as the role of the state of Texas. Of course, currently just coming up off the showing examples of who actually has symbols. Well, the Department of the Army, Department of Interior, Governor's Office, Department of Safety, of course, the District Attorney's Office within the county, the Drainage District, and Tax Assessors Collectors. So that being said, a similar symbol came up, and I'm proud to present the official logo, which was adopted on July 12th. We are presenting this to you for consideration and approval to utilize this in all aspects of the Historical Commission's actions. A quick overview of the symbol. We have the magnifying glass ensuring accuracy is maintained and all aspects are viewed. A pen to write the things that happens so that history will be correct, and a book to ensure that all we do will be recorded and saved for the future of Cameron County. For the things we write today will affect the future. That is the end of my presentation.
Any questions? Good job. Looks good. Any questions? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge the presentation?
So moved.
By Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Gatsa. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Now let's go to the action item.
Item 4?
Yeah.
D. 3D.
Yeah, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Commissioner Gatsa, do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. Thank you very much, William. Appreciate your hard work. We have a supplemental. It was just consent. It's to acknowledge the financial assistance award letter. It's another one that should have been included in the consent part, but it got left out. Do I hear a motion to approve? By Commissioner Gatsa.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. Do I hear a motion?
Is Javier gone already?
Yes.
Or Joe is here? Just for the record on these CAP projects that we acknowledged today, Joe. Yes. Can you give the court a ballpark figure of the total amount of dollars that we were approved for, totally in cooperation with the county and some of the local municipalities?
It's over. It's between $2 to $3 million that we received in funding.
Yeah.
From the Coastal Impact Assistance Program.
Yeah.
This funding was awarded, actually, we submitted funding, projects for this funding back in 2006, 2007, and the agency that was in charge of administering these grants, changed from MMS to Balmer to now Fish and Wildlife Services administering this project, and now we're getting all these projects approved. So it's that they all gotten approved. The majority have gotten approved here in the last month.
Couple of,
Yeah.
month or
And
so.
these projects impact the Bahia Grande Restoration Project, the university, the cities, a couple of different cities, some projects in Port Isabel, some
Yes.
projects in Rio Hondo, some
Los
projects in
Fresnos.
Los Fresnos.
South Padre Island.
South Padre
as
Island.
well, so-
And it appears that the new people that are handling the process for us through the application process have been a little bit more liberal in how they apply policy. And I think in the future, it's going to give opportunities for us that we had not had in the past. So, I want to publicly thank Joe and Javier for their work and assistance, and all the partners
Yes.
on these projects, because there've been a lot of partners
Yes, there
in these
has.
projects, just coordinated.
And the majority of the entities that are going to benefit from this program, they're so happy because they were getting anxious, and at one time they were ready to give up. And they said, you know what, I don't think we're never going to receive this money. And we finally received this money, and now we're getting ready to start getting these projects going.
Thank you,
Joe,
Hep.
is part of the
Joe.
money that we're going to be getting for the pier at the Jaime Zapata boat ramp, is that part of this?
No, Commissioner, that's part of the Coastal Management Protection project. That's from the grant that we received from the Texas General Land Office. And we should be getting the contracts for that project. I spoke to the GLO yesterday to find out what's the status on those contracts, so we could start the work. They're hoping by the 1st of October we'll get those contracts. Once we execute the contracts, then we could start the work on the pier. Just to let you know.
That's not a CAP project, okay?
Yes.
These were all of the CAP projects.
Just to give you a brief update, we also received the grant from Texas Parks and Wildlife to do a kayak launch pad there, and it's part of the Texas Trails project. And last week they started marking the trail. Texas Parks and Wildlife, along with assistance from the GLO, and along with assistance from Tony Reisinger from the County Extension Service. So, but everything's coming together.
Well, great.
Yeah.
Like I
And
said,
even the Tame Park lease that is ongoing now, I think we have like definite timelines as to when we're going to have a lease, so that we can move on with the other pieces.
Yeah,
of
with the
project.
shoreline restoration, and we're hoping to put a kayak trail as well there at Tome Park as
There's
well.
a lot of interest.
Yes,
Great.
so things are
Great.
coming.
Well,
Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
for the work that you do.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion? We had a motion, a second. All in favor, signify by saying, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item
Yeah, it has
carries.
nothing to do with that.
Okay. I thought you were going to go out and want to buy a bunch of kayaks.
The logo?
No, actually, if we could go back to the budget quickly. Y'all didn't take any action as far as the district clerk's request, and I would ask if you could, if you are so inclined,
We all agreed to do it.
Well, there was like, I don't have any problem with it, and there was no
Yeah, I
official
think
action.
he learned his lesson with the
if we can go back
posting
and y'all
issue.
can take some official, that way I know whether to move it in or not.
Do I hear a motion to move it in and draw the shortfall from their fund balance?
For the next 2 years.
So moved.
Well,
Second.
at least for this coming year. All right?
Okay.
Moved by Commissioner Garza, second by Commissioner Benavides. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, carries.
Thank
You happy now?
Yes, it's clear.
All right, man, he learned his lesson, man. All right. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Benavides, second by Commissioner Garza. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, item carries. On items 5A, B, C, D, and E regarding property pursuant to Code Section 551.072. On item F,
I'm sorry, I'm going to be out of town.
update regarding legal issues pursuant to Code Section 551.0712. And item G, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel regarding some acres of land with the U.S. of America pursuant to 551.0711A and 2. Last item, confer with Commissioners Court Legal Counsel concerning Tom Hollingsworth versus Cameron County pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A.